Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back. Something a bit different today. As you can tell from the title, I finally decided to start using my American Super Nintendo. Now I've owned this from brand new. Way back in the, 30 years ago I bought this brand new. And I've had it out of the box a few times, but I've never actually, used it. I've always had a backup system, and I've always kept this one boxed. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so, like I say, it's brand new, in effect, because I've not used it. But, I've been moving a few things around, and I wanted, because I've got like a sort of an 8-stroke 16-bit corner over there, and I'd got it how I wanted it, but I've made a few changes, and I've got rid of a system from there, and I wanted to add a Super Nintendo over there to be able to play it on a small CRT, because a big CRT is amazing, but I don't think anything looks as good as like on a 14-inch CRT or monitor if you've got a monitor. The pictures just look so nice on them. So I've already got the Mega Drive over there, and I wanted a Super Nintendo over there. But at the same time, I didn't want to move wherever it is. You can just about see the top of it down there. Where is it? Just there. I didn't want to move my Famicom, because I wanted to be able to play that on the big CRT when I wanted to. I just wanted an additional one to play on the smaller CRT. So I started looking, I was going to buy one. I was looking for an American SNES to buy, and I did find one, and I almost put an offer in on it. But then I started thinking, there was a little sort of tap on the inside of my head, rattling around where there's nothing else. And I just said, you've got a brand new one of these, why are you buying another one? Just use the one you've got. I could be dead this time next week. Why am I worrying about not using it? It's only going to be for somebody else's benefit. Things to be played, aren't they? So I thought, sod buying another one, I'll use the one I've got. So that's what I'm going to do. But I thought, a bit different for me, I don't normally do unboxings. I thought somebody might be interested to see, because obviously the American Super Nintendo is quite a lot different to the other models. It's hard to imagine what they were thinking when they got the styling with this one. I mean, it's an ugly beast, let's be honest. But that said, it's got a charm about it, because it's the system I always had back in the day. Right from, when I first got into importing stuff. It was always the American system that I had. It's only in more recent years I bought the Famicom, and hence this has always stayed boxed ever since. Because unfortunately I sold my original one, the original American one I had and used back in the day when it was, the current thing. That ended up getting sold, I think possibly when the 3DO come out, and I was mad into the 3DO, and then the Jag, and then the PlayStation and the Saturn come out. So at some point around that era I sold it. But then, not long afterwards, I regretted it and thought, you should have kept that. You never know. So, while you could still get them brand new, I ordered this one. Hence the reason I've had it from brand new ever since. But obviously, things moved on, and you move with the times, don't you? You want the latest console. So I never touched the SNES for years and years. And then when I did, like I say, I bought a Famicom. So, like I say, back to the start of the story. I decided against buying another one because it seemed like madness, and I've decided to use this one. I only need to use the console because I've got controllers and I've got a spare PSU, so I can leave everything else in the box brand new. I'll just be using the actual main unit. So that's it really. I'll switch the camera so you can see it better rather than me holding it up. Hopefully it'll work out alright. I don't know, I've never filmed anything like I'm planning to film this before, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we've got the, I should have said at the start, we've got Strikers 1945 on the Tarte screen, and we've got the amazing Macross on the Super Nintendo on there. I've only recently discovered that. It was Craig who put me onto it, or mentioned it, and then bloody awesome game that is. Right, so yeah, we'll get on to the unboxing then, shall we? Right, so hopefully you can see what's going on here. Here we've got the Super NES control set, USA version. So as you can see, we've got the front of the box. There is just a tiny bit of storage wear on the edges, but generally speaking, it's in lovely condition. And then on the back we've got, this is obviously the proof of purchase warranty, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, it's original. And we've got adverts for various games. Obviously we've got Super Metroid, Wario Woods, Punch Out, Tetris and Dr. Mario. We've got Stunt Race FX here, Donkey Kong. So yeah, there we go anyway. So we'll open it up carefully. The card's still very stiff, as you would expect from a new console. Been boxed up for nigh on 30 years. There's no cardboard cover on these like the original UK one. So there you can see what's inside. We've got the original manuals in the baggie, and we've got the familiar precautions leaflet you'd get in any game. We've got the control deck manual. We've got, I don't know what this is. Oh, it's an advert for Nintendo Power. And then we've got the sort of poster instructions setup. You can get the thing open. Yeah, poster one side. I don't know if you can see all that. Various games advertised: Donkey Kong Country, Stanley Cup Ice Hockey, Ken Griffey Major League Baseball, Tetris 2, Illusion of Gaia, or Illusion of Time if you're in Europe, Super Punch Out, what an amazing game that is, Uni Racers, that's a really underrated game, really good. Then what we got there, Tin Star, I've never played that. Stunt Race FX, it's of its time, but it was great at the time. Super Mario World, obviously, Super Metroid, and then obviously on the other side of that, similar to the PAL console, you've got instructions on how to set up your console. So we'll put them back in there, and they can stay there for another 30 years. In the nice baggie. Right, as you can see now, everything's baggied up as from new. This is not a standard item. This was the SCART lead I bought extra at the time. They don't come with a SCART lead, but that's what I wanted at the time, obviously, so I've always left it in there. Then we've got, this is the standard lead you get with the American system. It's just an RF unit, but it's not an RF unit you can use in the UK, because it's that sort of the old-fashioned skybox type RF unit with the thread, so you can't use it on a UK TV. So that was the reason you have to get a SCART lead, or I did at the time. Then we've got the original USA power supply, which is obviously 2-pin. And then your American Super Nintendo has a much larger plug socket on the power supply than the PAL machine, much fatter. So that's unique to the American console. Then obviously we've got the American controller, which again is quite different to the Super Famicom and the PAL version, as in that it's got purple buttons, and that they're not the same style buttons. You've got both convex and concave buttons. Concave are the ones that go in, aren't they, I think? Anyway, those two go in, and those are the traditional style rounded buttons like you get on the PAL console and the Super Famicom. And obviously it's purple instead of red, blue, green and yellow. Other than that it's the same, but I've always quite liked the convex buttons on the upper two buttons. I've always found that quite nice, actually. So that's the controller, and then all we're left with is the console itself, obviously. Still baggied up, and there we go. That is the American Super Nintendo system. As I said, it's an ugly old beast in many ways, but it's also unique, and it's got a kind of charm that I do like. It's just not a patch on the Super Famicom in how it looks, really. Overall, it's like I say, it's ugly, but you know, I mean, it's just so ugly. As you can see, it's in lovely condition. It hasn't yellowed, which these can quite badly, obviously. Any SNES can yellow quite badly. Nice clean cartridge slot, and the buttons push up and down rather than the resets up and down rather than in on the SNES. And then you've got the eject button there, so it's, I mean, does the same thing, it's just very different. And then the card slot's different, obviously. For American cartridges it's square and it's got the cutouts, so you can only put American carts in it. The first one I had, I cut those out so you could fit Jap carts in as well, because if you cut those tabs out, Japanese carts fit straight in without any converter. But I obviously haven't done that to this new one, and I wouldn't do it. And there we go. That is the American Super Nintendo system. I'm going to start using the console base, as I said. Everything else is going back in the box for another 30 years. But what an amazing system, one of the greatest systems ever made for me. Absolutely, any Super Nintendo is amazing. It's just such a magnificent console. Let me know your thoughts anyway. Have you ever had an American system? Do you think it's butt ugly, like most people? Be good to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to play on my Super Nintendo now. Sayonara.